Cloudcast Media.
Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. You're going to be listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We're the nation's longest-running community podcast in our 20th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. 6 decades of doing great things for people living in our region, whether it's food insecurity, financial literacy, it's the arts, the homelessness. They are there shoulder to shoulder. I always brighten up the day when I have a long time and good friend in the studio, and today is no exception. Dr. Moises Aguirre, he is the superintendent of the Sweetwater Union High School District. Always great to see you, Moises. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on, Drew. It's great to see old friends.
Oh my God, it's wonderful. And just to show you what a cool cat he is, we also do a show called Future Pathways Superintendents Unplugged, where we get to interview the 43 district superintendents. And he has also did a nice spot on that with Eduardo, about I'm mistaken, the superintendent of the Chula Vista Elementary School district. Joined again a great co-host here, Noah Brady. He's the audio engineer and the host of a soon-to-be produced Garage Band San Diego, and Jacob Saletta, SDSU Journalism and Media Studies senior, graduating in about, a month?
Month and a half. Yeah, I can't wait to get out. I'm excited.
Very good. I think Moises, Jacob has a question for you right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Moises, great to meet you, by the way. I'm just curious about the mission of your organization, and if you could talk me through that.
Yeah, so our mission, we're a secondary school district. So we offer education for middle school and high schools. We also offer education to adult schools, which makes us unique among school districts. We are situated in the South Bay of San Diego County. So we include Chula Vista, San Isidro, Imperial Beach, and National City. So pretty much everything south of San Diego Unified. We serve approximately 33,000 learners. I think we're second or third largest, depending on which district you compare us to. Second or third largest secondary district in the state of California. And really for us, it's supporting all of our learners to be prepared for college and career. Understanding our particular geographic context, which is on a binational border region, which gives us a unique flavor, if you will, in terms of how our district, the culture and the climate of our district is very binational. And we're a very diverse district. We serve students from a lot of different backgrounds, and we're very proud to be in the community, serving our communities in all sorts of different and interesting ways. Our primary mission and objective is to ensure students are prepared so they can go on to college and do what you are doing and go to four-year university or choose a career or military service and be able to succeed. That's really our goal.
Yeah, one of the things that I'm so glad Moises brought up, as we've heard through some of the interviews, I've been fortunate enough to be involved with the Classroom of the Future Foundation since it started in 1997. Moises has been a big supporter of that. It focuses on college and career and different pathways. And listen, whether you want to go to college or not, we want to encourage kids to go to college. They don't have to, but at least they can be on that track to do that. And then, of course, whatever the career's on. And maybe you can address this, Moises, and I'm happy to see this aspect. It took a while to get there, but we're there now. The focus on linked learning and CTE and pathways, and heaven forbid we actually offer classes that the kids are interested in, that maybe wasn't the case when I was going to school when there was barely running water, for God's sake. But now it's like, listen, there's so many to choose. Talk about the pathways at Sweetwater.
We have a large number of pathways in our district, and one of the things that are currently in existence, but one of the things we're really excited about is in the upcoming year, we're going to be doing a little bit of restructuring to focus more on those career pathways and creating stronger partnerships with industry we feel we're really strong in the college pathways. That's, again, want to make sure that that pathway is available and open to everybody.
Right.
In the past, that wasn't always the case, and there was tracking that would happen or whatnot. But for us, the goal is to open that door of opportunity to any student who wants to college that can do that. One thing that we did is pretty unique in that regard is we've had the Compact for Success for over 20 years with San Diego State, where students were guaranteed admission. We added a little wrinkle, the most recent renewal that we have with San Diego State, where we created a pathway with our community college, which is Southwestern Community College in Chula Vista. So what we did is if they follow through, once students graduate with us, they go to Southwestern, they complete a course of study that's approved by San Diego State and Southwestern, the students can have guaranteed admission, even if they go through that 2-year community college. So it really, talking about opening doors of opportunity for kids who may have economic hardships, right? Because community college offers a pathway where you can have a more affordable option. That's yet one more opportunity. That's an example of our college pathways. In the career pathways, we're going to be focusing more on building those relationships, because we understand that the economy is undergoing a fundamental shift. We've all seen it. The technology's moving very fast. And so for us, we want to make sure we're preparing our students to be the critical thinkers that are going to be needed for jobs that don't even exist. And so I think being able to ensure that our students have access to that is critical. And it's one of our areas of focus for next year is those pathway development.
Yeah, I want to talk about something that near and dear to my heart, and I was very honored to chair the Sweetwater Education Foundation many moons ago when Ed Brand was the superintendent, and that's when the Compact for Success was there. And those kids who went through this very rigorous curriculum at Sweetwater were guaranteed admission to San Diego State, which is great, except could they afford to go? And our job was to raise money. So listen, the hard work that the Jacobs did and the Noahs did, now they can go to that. I'm so glad to have that going on. I want to get back to something you talked about earlier, and you're spot on. And our good friend Tad Parson talked about it, the president and CEO of the Burnham Center for Community Advancement, and which their ladies have beamed on it as well, is this binational border we have. It's the richest border in the world between Tijuana and San Diego, and we need to take advantage of it. Groups like Tad and of course led by Malin and what you're doing. Talk about how important that is.
I think what's really important is shifting the narrative of the border. In the past, the border was seen from a deficit perspective. There are all these narratives about this ominous geographic location, when in fact our experience, the experience of our significant number of our staff, significant number of our students and families, is that we are separated by a border, but we are one community. Our students have binational lives. They have family members on both sides of the border. They may access our schools during the week, and then on the weekend go visit family over on the other side of the border in Tijuana, or Rosarito, Ensenada. And so for us, is how can we start acknowledging this space, this geographic area that we encompass, in a way that's looking at it from an asset-based perspective rather than a deficit-based perspective. And so we're reaching out and we're starting to establish some partnerships, some relationships. For example, we went down and visited with CETIS. They offer both a university and a high school program, and then in turn they came to us, and we kind of had reciprocal meetings. The next step is to have some of their teachers are going to come to one of our high schools in the near future, Southwest High School, and they're going to have a space to collaborate and really identify how we can support some of our binational students. We're working right now, and hopefully it works out for this graduation season. I will share that we are working on our first ever binational graduation.
Congratulations!
And so there's a lot of energy to support our binational region. I know Southwestern Community College in San Diego State has done a graduation ceremony, and the focus for that is for those family members who may not be able to participate for whatever reason, so that the students can have that moment to celebrate with their loved ones. And so that's pretty exciting. Again, we're working across the board in a number of different initiatives to change the narrative of our region, so that we can be seen as this is something that adds to our life, it adds to our economy, it adds to our understanding. And what a better way for a school district to build understanding than something like this? Because again, our focus is building understanding, building knowledge, And that also includes of our geographic location, which is a binational region.
There's no question. We had the SETIS president on our show not too long ago, and of course, what a wonderful, brilliant gentleman. That was. We are chatting with Moises Aguirre. He is the superintendent of the Sweetwater Union High School District. Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. Co-hosts are Jacob Saletta of San Diego State Journal of Media Studies senior and major, will be graduating in a month or two, and Noah Brady, audio engineer and host of a garage band to San Diego. Noah, any questions you've got for Moises?
Yeah, so what would you say is probably the biggest struggles to getting this binational community integrated into what you guys are doing within your district? And what are any ways that our listeners could support and help to alleviate some of those struggles, or just do their part to help this community out?
That's a great question, because I think really the biggest hurdle to overcome is some of the longstanding perceptions from those who are not familiar with the border region.
Yeah.
And so I think the way that we can contribute to this is really looking at an opportunity to build understanding. We all share the space of San Diego County or northern Baja California. We have way more in common than people realize. We're trying to build, modern economies. We're trying to give our families opportunities for education, for quality jobs. We share a basin, an environmental basin, and that includes air and water. We've seen the issues that have happened in Imperial Beach and in the South Bay.
Right.
And that's, a lot of times people see that and then they create an image. But when I see that, I see an opportunity to reach across the border, literally, and bring some understanding, identify resources so that we can tackle these really difficult issues in a way that's collaborative. Because a lot of times, finger pointing gets real easy.
Sure.
Rather than seeing how can we come together to solve a community problem. Because it's, again, we're one community. We may have a border that goes through it, but it's one community. We have one watershed, the air basin. We share a lot in common, and we impact Tijuana, and Tijuana impacts us. And so for me, it's the goal is to really get beyond those assumptions, those stereotypes that may be there, and give yourself an opportunity to have that open mindset. As I don't know if you're familiar with the work of Carol Dweck, but that growth mindset of continuous growth. I know sometimes growth is hard and it's new, but at the end of the day, we all live in this region, and why not try to create a better space for all of us, because we all live here.
There's no question about it. When we come back from break, Moises got a lot more questions that Noah and Jacob have. Want to chat with you about how well you work with the other districts in your area, okay, and talk about that aspect. And I know Jacob has some questions also on what you're most proud of in your organization, of course, and then some of the challenges when we return with Dr. Moises Aguirre, Superintendent of the Sweetwater Union High School District. I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. We will be right back after this short message.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. Listen to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest running community podcast. Well, now in our 20th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, 6 decades of doing great things in the community. So honored and pleased to have in my longtime friend and colleague in the house, Sweetwater Union High School District Superintendent Dr. Moises Aguirre, and joined by my two very capable and very cool co-hosts, Jacob Saletta, SDSU Journalism and Media Studies Senior, graduating in a month or so, and Noah Brady, audio engineer and the host of an upcoming podcast of Cloudcast Media called Garage Band San Diego. Before I tee it over to Jacob, maybe you can spend just a few minutes. You folks always have to work together in the throughout the whole county. There's 43 superintendents, as we know, but you're very proud of the relationship you have with your South counties districts. Talk about that.
Yeah, it's like you've been tracking me all this time, Drew. I just came from a meeting with all the superintendents.
I know you have. I had an idea who ran that meeting, so that's all good. Yeah.
You probably do. So what I'm really proud of is the fact that we all understand that it's like a family, really. And our feeder districts, and there's 4 of them: the San Ysidro School District, Chula Vista School District, National School District, and South Bay, which serves Imperial Beach. They serve the elementary kids, and then at middle school and high school, they come over to us at Sweetwater. I think, regardless of what the issue may be, what I really appreciate is we have an ability to talk through these very difficult issues that arise from time to time and have a great coordination. And so I can give a couple of examples.
Please.
Literally this week, as I was arriving back to town from a conference out of town, there was a series of kind of these swatting calls that were happening where folks call and then the police has to respond, and they were specifically related to a bomb threat. We immediately got on the phone and coordinated with our different law enforcement agencies in the South Bay, with the school districts, because they came in not just to our schools, they also went to the elementary schools. And so immediately our teams got together, put together a plan, and went through and made sure that all of our schools were safe. So I think those are the types of examples, real concrete examples, where we come together to solve community issues, community problems that may be outstanding, and we come together from a lens of collaboration and cooperation, rather than something you can get into space that's not that. And so that's one thing I really appreciate, regardless of whether it's that, whether we're talking about declining enrollment and having coordinated responses to that, whether we're talking about how do we support our communities. For example, during the pandemic, we transitioned to offering meals to our communities, and we coordinate that very closely. We have family resource centers in collaboration with Chula Vista Elementary School District. We partner with all of our different districts to ensure we're serving our students and our families. And so that, I think it makes us really unique.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so, Jacob, I know you have a question for Moises on community schools.
Absolutely, yeah. So just talk to me about the role community schools play within your district, and then how they help support students just beyond, I guess, academics, how they help with their lives, and maybe some of the stuff that, we don't really see within the community.
That's such a timely question, because community schools, it's a state program, a state and federal program. But just last year, we applied and received 12 of our schools were recipients of the Community Schools Grant. It's a 5-year grant, and one of the things that it really focuses on is how can we support our students' social-emotional needs, because I think there's a growing awareness within the educational community that a student who comes to school hungry, a student who comes to school with some type of social-emotional need, is a student who's going to have a harder time learning. So one of the things we're doing is how can we bring other support. So for example, we work with an organization called Wishwell. And what they do is they support students and families. They run family circles. You'd be surprised how often parents come to schools having a hard time understanding how to communicate with their students, particularly with the technology piece. It's so hard to break through, kids and adults and everybody now being on their phones or being on their tech. How can we kind of create an opportunity for them to have not just communication, but authentic communication, so that we can connect? And sometimes it's hard just given when you're in the teenage years with parents and students. So that's an example of what we've done as community schools, is work with Wishwell to kind of bring this approach to support not just the student, but the family as a whole.
Yeah, it's such a great idea, too, when you think about it, because the school should be the hub of the community. And again, it's whether you're talking about, obviously, education, you're talking about health, you're talking about job opportunities, or whatever the case may be. And it makes all the sense in the world. And, when people are feeling engaged with that community school, it is a big deal on this. Noah, any other questions you have for Moises? I got one for you, and so who's your favorite superintendent did you work with in the South County?
Oh, that is such a weighted question. I will say all of my superintendents,
because
we have a great relationship. It's hard to pick a favorite.
I know you do. So Noah, you want to tell Moises who your mom is?
My mom's Dr. Brady, Superintendent of National School District.
Oh my goodness! I'm glad I said that answer.
Best answer you could have given right there.
Exactly.
There was one better answer, and that was LeAngela Brady.
No, I tease on this because it's true. We mentioned the superintendent show that we do that Moises has been so graciously to be on every single year, and we can continue to do that. And LeAngela's played such a big role in this. Noah's mom, she's the chair of the Classroom of the Future Foundation, and just energetic as can be. No one knows more about that than Noah in this room on this. And that relationship, and she's very proud of, as is Moises, of the South County superintendents. Nothing wrong with the East County, or nothing wrong with the North and all that, or the Central. But you guys really bond well together in this aspect of it. And, we were going to sort of hold back and not let you know that it was LeAngela's son that's sitting right next to you. No, but it's all good. Talk about some of the challenges. I know enrollment is key, as we all know, in the school districts, and a little bit of a challenge in those, is it not?
Yeah, so for us as a challenge, that probably is our biggest one as you look at the next kind of 5 to 10 years, just because so much of what we're able to offer depends on the number of students that we serve. And because of that, I think that is probably our most significant challenge that we are dealing with. Because I think for a long time, the assumption that was baked into everything from our economy to our student programming to how we build schools was based on an assumption of growth. That assumption over the last 10 years approximately has been turned on its head. So we've been in a place where we need to adjust our approach and keep in mind that and that there's going to be less students. So how do we begin that process of adjusting our districts commensurately? And it has all sorts of implications. It has facility implications. It has funding implications. It has programming implications. And so for me, I think that's one of the bigger challenges, and that's where we can come together with all of the districts, at least again in the South Bay. And this is something that's going on really statewide, and I would venture to say probably across the entire country, if not the world.
Yeah, and I think you guys are doing it the right way. I mean, you're positioning yourself of why do I want to go to Sweetwater, schools. And, well, look at the opportunities we're doing with dual enrollment and Southwestern College, or the Compact for Success with San Diego State, or the myriad pathways you have that, listen, you go to Sweetwater, you're going to focus on something you're interested in, okay, in this aspect of it. But it's going to let you make a choice of what you sometimes is just as valuable to, this is not what I want to do, so you can focus on what you want. What can our listeners do, Moises, to support the unbelievable work of you and those amazing teachers that for 182 days are seeing these students?
I think first and foremost, right now is a time when there's a lot of public debate around education, and I would venture to say and offer that the biggest thing anybody can do to support public education writ large, not just Sweetwater, not just South Bay, but across the board, is have patience and understanding. Be open to civil discourse and civil debate. It's okay to disagree, but it's really important how we disagree, to not have it be so uncivil that we are not able to work together, tomorrow on a more challenging issue, on a different issue. So for me, that would be my ask to anybody listening, is whenever you engage in debate and conversation around public education, I think, and really it's probably as the previous speaker, as Tad was mentioning, it's really important for the health of our democracy, little d, not a partisan or political, but it's really, I think, healthy for our democracy to be able to engage and dialogue and debate, and not have it be so personal that we can't have another conversation the day after about whatever the topic may be. So that understanding is important.
Yeah, Moises, you and I know each other for a long time, especially when you were participating in Lead San Diego, and I'm really dating myself, for God's sake. Maybe you a little bit, but you never age, for God's sake. I might got to figure out what that secret sauce is that Moises is eating or drinking and all that. But when it comes down to it, it doesn't make a difference what side of the aisle we're on, what we look like, what the ethnicity is. We want the same thing. We want our kids to be healthy and safe. We want them to get the best learning they can do. We never want them to stop having a love for learning. And I will say this about Moises, as long as I've known him, that's his passion. If we sit there and dull our students because, my God, we've made learning punitive or we've made it boring, no. We want our students to come out of high school that they love to learn, because they're going to be learning till they're 90 or till they're not there anymore. Moises, if somebody wants to learn all about the great stuff that you're doing, I know you're totally open. But come down and visit us. We'll give you a tour of our schools. We'll give you a tour of our pathways and all that. How do they get a hold of you?
Best place to do is through our website, www.sweetwatersschools.org. All of our contact information is on there. We have a lot of things that are kind of happening in the South Bay. We have a consortium to explore bringing a 4-year university or institution to Chula Vista and the broader South Bay region. We are working on moving our remote learning school, our virtual school, into a really neat space. It's a new library the City of Chula Vista has built. So I think there's a lot of things going on, and I would invite anybody who wants to learn more about us to check us out.
And I encourage people to do that. There's a lot of hip to the hop in the folks that are working at Sweetwater, schools, and of course all the feeder schools. Moises, always a pleasure seeing you. Until we meet again, be well, be safe, be healthy.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Moises Aguirre is the superintendent of the Sweetwater Union High School District. Been doing this for a while. Great district, doing wonderful things for the community, for the students, and everybody that's involved in that area. I'm Drew Schlosberg. Listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest-running community podcast in our 20th year. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, 60-plus years of doing great things in the community. And once again, to my co-host, Jacob Soletta, and Noah Brady, a fine job in this aspect. And to our listeners, we hope you enjoyed the interview.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.